One day you will not exist and none of this will matter. Therefore, try to improve this limited time you have to experience life as much as possible, and don't regret anything, because one day, no matter what risks you take, they'll all be wiped. Recently, I've realized that the majority of people still have a massive problem with caring about what other people think of them, and it's holding them back massively, stopping them from doing the things they want to do. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, and it leads to a non-fulfilling life. Now, over the last 3 years of building a social media following in my business, I discovered a lot about myself, and I found a lot of ways to stop caring. Because the more you stop caring, and this has been true in my life, the more success you achieve. Because what other people think is absolutely irrelevant to what you should do in your life. But how does one simply click their fingers and stop caring what others think? That's the question. That's what I'm posed with as a question by you guys a lot, and a lot of guys in my private communities say, Jack, how do I start with social media? How do I start with this business when I care so much what other people think? So I'm going to run you through my system, how I stopped caring what other people think, and how I was able to become a true version of myself. Mind you, a quite slightly bonkers version, but still don't really give a fuck anymore, which is very, very good. So number one, this begins with you. If you stop judging people, you will be less scared of the judgment of others. For me in my life, because I don't really judge anybody else, I don't think that other people will judge me, because I don't feel the same way. However, if you are a judger yourself, if you spend your time talking about gossip, what other people are doing, tearing other people down, it's actually quite impossible for you to stop caring what other people think, because in your worldview, everybody cares what you think because you judge everybody else. If you stop judging people, if you accept people for what they do, realizing that none of it really fucking matters, it will be a lot easier for you to forget what people think about you. This leads me on to my next point. You have to take 100% accountability for everything in your life. The less you blame other people, the less you care what others think. If anybody can affect what happens in your life, if you blame other people, if you don't take accountability for your life circumstances, you relinquish your control and power. Now, if you give your power to somebody else, it makes you fear being judged because you need somebody else's approval in order to become successful. However, if you take 100% accountability, no matter what the situation, everything's your fault, it gives you a very nice way out, and that's through action. Because anything you can control, you can act on. And when you're 100% accountable for your life, 100% accountable for the things that happen to you, you can make steps and changes in order to change the way that your life looks. It's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable. It's going to stop you thinking about what other people are thinking about you, because you know that everything in your life is your fault. This gives power back to you to take action, which relieves the anxiety that you might be feeling in your life. Step number 3. Take on bigger challenges. If you are getting caught up in the small minutiae, the tiny details of life, and they're bothering you, and what people say is bothering you, it's because your problems are not big enough. There's a few major problems we encounter in life when someone we really love dies, or we get diagnosed with a terminal illness, or we lose a limb, or something genuinely really bad happens in our lives. They're the kind of few times that something actually major to worry about has been presented to you. And what you need to do is look at each day, and if none of those things have happened, it's a really, really good day. And how I do this in my life, because I've fortunately not encountered any of those big challenges really in my life, none of those really big challenges, as I know some of you may have done, but you can use this also, is I take on a big challenge to make everything else feel small. And this, you don't have to take on the same challenge as me. For some people, you might be really, really scared just to go in the gym for the first time. You might be really, really scared to do your first ever sparring session. Those things don't scare me personally. But if they scare you, that's the level of your challenge that you need to take on. So this works for anyone. But for me, I have to do things that really push my boundaries to make everything else small. So recently I took on a pro boxing match. I'm going on and on about it. You guys probably already know. 3rd of December, make sure you watch. We're going to start the series soon, weekly on this channel. But the reason I take that on is because when you're getting punched in the face by pro boxers, when you're sparring every day of the week, you have no time to think about other things. You have no time to be worried about what other people say about you, or small details like some food not being cooked right or things not being ordered on time and things like that, because you've got bigger fish to fry. It's like, I always saw this in movies. You ever remember in movies where the character at the start, he might be bothered by like the smallest things, like the bully at school, for example. And then he goes on this epic quest where he fights intergalactic beings. His best friend is almost killed. He's locked away in a dungeon and escapes and saves the galaxy. And then he goes back to school and the same bully tries to bully him or tries to get a rise out of him. That's what happens in life. You take on these big challenges, these big goals, these big tasks, things that push you to your limits, things that you're scared of, and everything else begins to become irrelevant. So for me, when I moved to Thailand, that was such a huge move for me. That was so scary to me at the time. Everything else at home just seemed to drift away into insignificance. It was about survival at that point, making something work. And I would implore every single one of you to always have a challenge on the go, to always be enjoying the progress of working towards something you've never done that pushes your limits a little bit more year on year and carves a new version of yourself. Can't remember what number we're on, but the next step is to think about your death, which sounds a bit weird, but I will explain. Most people are very scared of death, for good reason. It's unknown, and people don't want to die. You want to experience life. Fair enough. The thing is, when you think about death for what it actually is, the more you think about it, the less concerned you are with other people's opinions and the more freely you are to act within the life you have. And that's because when you are concerned with self-preservation, when you have not come to terms with the fact that you will die, if you never think about it, you always brush it off like you will live forever, which is really how we all want to feel in ourselves. Even I catch myself doing this. I'm going to live forever. I'm not. I'm going to die. That day could be far sooner than I expect, or it may be about 120 years old. I hope it is. But in between that time, if you don't think about the fact that you will one day never be here, if you feel like you're going to live forever, you will squander time and you will care far too much about what other people think. What you need to come to terms with is the fact that one day everything you've ever done will be forgotten. One day everything you ever do, every person you've ever loved will be forgotten. Everyone you know will die. Everyone who's ever known about you will die. And everything you've done will fade into insignificance over a long enough time frame. Now, some people would view that as an incredibly nihilistic view of the world, and it would make them give up and think, well, what's the point? And the point is, one day you will not exist and none of this will matter. Therefore, try to improve this limited time you have to experience life as much as possible. And don't regret anything. Because one day, no matter what risks you take, they'll all be wiped. So don't think of that as, oh great, I might as well not do anything. You can do that if you want. But what I prefer to see it as is, wow, I can do whatever I want. And I can make mistakes. And I can try really hard. And I can fail. And I can succeed. But as long as I get the most lust out of life, as long as I get the most juice out of the orange, then I've been a success in my eyes. And I like that way of thinking about the world. I like thinking of my own mortality because it actually relieves me of the stress of the world rather than make me nihilistic and think, well, nothing really matters. Well, of course it matters because you've got nothing else to do. You're either here or you're dead. So yeah, might as well make it good. Otherwise, it's a very uncourageous way to view the world, I think. But that makes me feel good. But knowing that one day I'll die and everything will be wiped, it takes away my concerns. It makes me think, well, why the hell am I worried about what that person's saying when their opinion is irrelevant? And I believe that to be positive. Another thing I did in my life was create a success echo chamber. I used to be a person that was incredibly concerned with the opinions of others because I was surrounded by people that were unhappy, that were nihilistic, people that were not happy with the way their lives were, people that judge other people, that have never done anything they're scared of. Most of us, unfortunately, are born into lives like that because it's only really the 1% that live any other way than that. Most people live in a bubble of fear and mediocrity. And most of you will have been born into that bubble of fear and mediocrity. And this is not to say the people around you are bad people inherently. They just don't have control of their minds and their emotions to the same level that a high performer needs to. So you have to create an echo chamber of success by watching videos like this, by reading books, and by only surrounding yourself with the right people. I could never have done what I've done without the movements and creation that I've done it with. I could never have created the business I have now from my student uni house in Bournemouth, because the people around me, it would have all fallen in. I would have been too fearful of the judgment of others. I could have never done it at home, as much as I love my mother and father, because I'm a very different person to them. Not that they were ever nasty to me, but people, they try to mold you to what they want. They mold you to what they want if you're around them. To be a true man, a true hero, you have to break out of that. You have to go on the hero's journey. That's what I did. And now I've created this life where making YouTube videos is normal. Making Instagram reels is normal. Doing online business all day and night is normal. Like I've created the world of Jack Hopkins, where everyone around me is successful. Everyone around me understands what I do. Whilst at the same time, being good enough friends to tell me when I'm being an arsehole or slightly up myself, which happens more than I care to admit. But what you need is to protect your mind, protect your creativity from people that just feel bad about themselves. You see, judgment on you will never come from above. I don't spend my time on the internet judging people that have not achieved anything yet. I spend my time on the internet or in my groups or in my community helping these people, on giving them encouragement to say, you can do it too. You can change your life, and it will feel really, really, really good compared to what you're living now. That's what I choose to do, and that's what every successful person, pretty much I know, chooses to do. The only people that decide to tear you down, that decide to speak badly about you, are the people that are very upset with themselves. And that's why I really don't get bothered by any hate online, because hate comes from within. So every message I see, every person that's dragging me down, I take pity on you, and I understand that you're probably confused, and you probably really don't like your life, and you don't like the fact that I've managed to make something work. And I get that. I get how that feels, to watch somebody else win when your life appears to be falling apart. But unfortunately, there is no other way. Winners win, players play, losers lose. That's just how it is. So that's why my first point of this video was you must stop judging others, because you actually block yourself from success. You must get rid of everything that you fire out at other people is a reflection of you inside. When I'm winning, when I'm on top, when I feel proud of myself, all that comes out of my mouth is positivity. When I'm losing, when I'm disappointed in myself, I become a negative bastard. It's the same for me. I'm a fucking person. I'm not immune to this stuff. I've been negative before in my life. But this is how I manage it. And now I'm very, very free of others' opinions. To say I completely don't care would probably still be untrue. But I don't care to any sort of level that holds me back from action. And I always run towards fear, because I believe that is your guidance system. I learned when I was on my journey to manage my emotions. And I'm still learning this now, and I get better at it each year. But I learned to manage my emotions and what they actually mean. Fear means you should go towards it. I've never had any bad thing happen to me, anything that didn't lead to success from taking a risk. The risk is normally backed by fear. So you see, oh, I'm scared of this, run towards that. It's a guidance system. It's not, I fear that, I won't do it. It's like reversed. So just everything you fear doing, that's exactly what you should do, and you will be rewarded for it. The other one is anxiety. So I know when I start to feel anxiety, it's because I'm not taking relevant action. Action cures anxiety. If you're anxious about something, you need to act. If you're sad about something, you need to move. You can't dwell in sadness. Sadness sometimes can take over your brain to such an extent that you cannot think. But you don't need to be able to think to run. You don't need to be able to think to go and hit the gym. And that's what you do in those times. A great book for this. Hopefully a lot of you guys have read it already, but Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins really helped me with that. Writing out emotions and what they actually mean and what the steps are to do after each one of those emotions in order to conquer your emotions and your fears and become successful. So there you go, guys. I don't believe you should give a shit what anybody thinks about you, and it's probably holding you back. And I hope that helps you fix it. Have a fantastic day. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you want to work with me, check out the links below. I'll see you on the next one. Whoop-ow!